Hey, good morning. This is David Miller with the Miller Realty Group of Keller Williams Realty. Hello, to help you get real estate smart. Today, we're going to talk about why you shouldn't use Zillow to determine the value of your property. So if you're like most homeowners, you understand that your biggest asset is going to be your house. And at times, it can be your biggest liability, depending on how big your loan is. Anyways, in determining the value of your property, we find a lot of people are always interested on, well, what's my house worth? Especially when the market has been appreciating as much as it has been for the past couple of years. So a lot of people, since they're nosy, they either want to know, I just want to know how much equity I have in the house, so I determine how much I owe on the property, subtract that from how much the house is worth, or maybe you're thinking about selling, so that's a good thing to understand. Well, how much can I get out of this house and maybe reinvest in a new house? Well, one of the biggest things I hear out there that people like to use is a website called Zillow. Yes, that is Zillow, not Zillow or Zillow. I've heard many different things, but it's Zillow. And they spend millions and millions of dollars to advertise to get people to go to their site. Now, I will tell you it does provide a lot of information, a lot of good information about a particular house, the history of it, as well as the school districts and what's around it, and those type of things. But the one thing it's not so good at is providing you an accurate number of what the value of your house would be. And the reason being is that it's a computer. All that it does is crunches numbers that comes in from public records. And at times it might be a little accurate, but most of the times it's not, because it's not able to determine the differences between the properties. All it takes is the raw data, and then this averages it out. So, to understand the value of your house, you want to think of the value of your house as an appraiser would. And what an appraiser is going to do is they're going to take the top 3 properties that have recently sold that are most comparable to your property. And they're going to look for recent sales. They're going to go back 3 months. At the most, they're going to go back is 6 months. But when they do that, they look for comparable properties. So if your house is 3,800 square feet, they're not going to compare your house to a house that's 2,100 square feet. They want houses probably within 20% of your square footage. So 3,500 square feet, they would definitely use. They typically start within your neighborhood because those are usually built by the same builder, same time frame, same lot size. So they like to do that. If they can't find anything within the neighborhood, then they might go out a half a mile, 2 miles at the most. Now, if your house is unique, like it's a lakefront property, then they will probably go out further than that if they have to find recent comps. So it's important to understand that they only use 3 sold properties. So it doesn't matter what your neighbor house is listed for. Excuse me. It matters what it's sold for. All right, keep that in mind. I talk to so many clients that they're like, well, my neighbor has her house listed for this much and that much. That doesn't mean it's going to sell, because houses that are overpriced, let me tell you, do not sell. So let's talk about how an appraiser will do it. They're going to look for those 3 comparable properties, and then they're going to make adjustments to them. This is the one thing Zillow can't do. It's going to make adjustments on a couple things. Number one, it's going to make adjustments on difference in lot size. So if your lot is bigger or smaller than somebody else's, there'll be an adjustment. 2 versus 3 car garage versus 1 car garage versus a carport. They'll make an adjustment if they're a shingle roof versus a tile roof versus a slate roof. They'll also make adjustments on upgrades. All right, very important. If you live in an older neighborhood, maybe built in the 70s, 80s, even the 90s, and you have totally updated your house, and a house down the street sold that was not updated, obviously there's a big difference between the two. So that's another type of adjustment that, Zillow just has no idea what's inside the house. They don't have the people that look at each house like they would before. The other thing they're going to adjust for is a pool versus a no pool. And the difference in pool, if you have just a plain pool, maybe not screened in, versus a pool that's screened in, pavers, rock features, grotto and stuff, that's a different size of an adjustment. So when they take those 3 and they make the adjustments, they sort of put them all together, and then they provide you what the house would be worth. So it's a big difference. I'll tell you with Zillow, I've been to some listing consultations where they're off a couple $100,000. So if you are wanting just to get a good feel for the value, Zillow might be a good start. Another option I'd recommend is going to our website, which is www.midfl for Florida. So midfl home values with an s.com. I think it's on this link right here. And that is connected to the local MLS, and that will provide you some information. However, if you're thinking about selling your house, I always recommend that you bring in a professional realtor, because they should be able to come in and do the same type of analysis as an appraiser would. Now, if they don't, if they just come in and say, well, here's the houses that sold, this is what they sold for, yours is probably going to fit in around here, I would recommend that you speak to a different realtor, because you need to understand what the adjustments are and why they got to that number, because you never want to be underpriced and giving money away, and you don't want to be overpriced where your house is going to sit longer and it's going to ultimately sell for less. You want it priced just right, so when you put it on the market, it's going to be able to sell in a timely fashion and for the most amount of money, and I'm sure that's what you're looking for. So if you're thinking about doing that in the spring, summer selling season, which is coming up, give me a call. I'll tell you that the stats just came out today, and the inventory continues to drop. So it is a very strong seller's market right now, depending on the area of town and price range. But it is a great time to sell. I'll tell you that the shift is around the corner. We're not there yet, but this is the best time to be able to pull out as much equity as you can in this property and either reinvest it in new property. If you need our help, give me a call. Our contact information is on there, 407-323-4210. And that's all I have to offer. Don't use Zillow. Call a realtor or use our website. We'd be glad to help you out. And I hope that I made you real estate smart. Hope you guys take care. Thanks.